Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. This is going to be an unbelievable show. 1 hour of mortgage and real estate talk. I'm Harvey Freed. To the right of me, Harry Glanz.
Hey, what a way to wake up with some of that back in black. I got my black Lion jersey on here. Here we go, everybody. We're jacked up for the game, but we're more jacked up to talk about Matt Bush here. Matt's here. RE/MAX First Real Estate, along with Becky Alley, Lisa Lawson. We're pumped up because the real estate market's going crazy.
Go
and
Lions!
And the Lions are unbelievable, everybody.
Yes.
So much fun here in Metro Detroit. You know, you guys, as you know, I was bragging. Yeah, sure enough, got to go to the game last week, hanging out with all the bigwigs, Mayor Duggan and everything. They're taking pictures with me. What a vibe. You know, here, it's bringing our community.
They heard about you, Harvey.
He didn't know.
Radio star
I'm like,
Harvey
hey, Mayor,
Freed.
you know me, but he didn't. Anyways, you know what's great about this region? Besides very affordability, there's a great buzz here. It's really the first time I felt like it in Detroit. Everyone's in a great mood. Let's see if we can turn this real estate market into something where more and more families are going to want to move here. Becky, they're lining up to buy these houses and there's no inventory.
There's definitely no inventory, and that's why when you're hearing the same things, you know, come from even like the gurus of that predict the real estate market, you know, what the projections are going to be. But the reality is that we're in a market that's going to be highly competitive because they did not build enough houses. The rates are going to be coming down, and a lot of people are lining up to buy these houses now. And the ones that are in the game right now, when we hear us say they're going to be the ones that's winning, it's because they're already done the pre-approval. They already checked all the boxes. They already are starting to submit these offers that are coming on the market. So they have that top of mind. As soon as this house hits the market, they're already ready to go versus someone that found the house then wants to make the call.
248-539-9797. We got tons to share with you. Matt Bush from RE/MAX First. Lisa Lawson's going to talk a little bit about down payment assistance programs. But I'm glad you threw in the pre-approval stuff because as much as that's all we do is we harp on this. We're like, get yourself an approval. Not just some pre-qual letter, not just a letter that says pre-approval. You got to turn in the documents, submit the application. This could all be done in a couple hours at our office. With that in mind, call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE.
Harvey, if you're a competitive person, okay, and we are sitting here in the middle of an unprecedented time for a lot of people in their lives where the Lions are in the NFC Championship game, right? Competition. If you're a competitive person, the game right now in real estate is that you have to be ready if you're looking to buy that house. If you just think you're going to stand on the sidelines, wake up one day and say, okay, today's the day I'm going to go buy a house, there are people that are in line way ahead of you because they're ready.
Yeah.
They've been practicing these plays, Harry. They've been preparing for it.
They have prepared. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
One of my favorite lines ever.
And if you're not in it right now in the real estate market, there are literally very few homes on the market to be sold. All right, historically, it's just the way it is. There are people that have been looking for a long time. They're ready to go, and they're going to pull the trigger. If you're on the sidelines right now just looking to get into the game, you're way behind.
Yes, and there's two things that are going to be happening. And before I get into that, we had our guest last week. He said something that was so, it was just right on the money, you know, to your average everyday person. If you go to Kroger, right, and you go shopping, you're not going to show up to the cashier and say, okay, I'm going to buy all these things. Hold on, let me go home and get my wallet. Same thing if you're buying a house. You're not going to be really successful if you find the house and then you say, okay, hold on, let me now start getting my pre-approval because you're already behind all the other people that have been in line. And the reality is that if you're a competitor, like you were saying, and you're in here, you want to win, part of that is being prepared, having these conversations. And that's why you hear us say it time in and time again, because we can say this every week, 52 weeks out of the year. And there are always calls that we get to the point that it would make you blush. Yeah. That they just don't have any idea, or they're walking around with these pre-approvals that their deals are falling apart because the people that they aligned themselves with didn't do their due diligence up front because there wasn't enough time. It's hurry up and rush and hurry up and wait, and it's a lot of things that you can really set yourself up to fail if you're not preparing.
I got a call a couple weeks ago, and it was like 6:02 p.m., and they're like, highest and best is due by 7 p.m. And I was like, okay, hadn't pulled credit, hadn't sent literally, it's almost impossible. Because I need so much documentation from the borrower, and there are very few people in the world that are that organized that can get me that stuff in 15 minutes. So I have time to review it and type up a letter.
Matt, Mr. Real Estate Agent, you're just like, look, you want this deal to close. Its purchase agreement says it's going to close on this date. You were hoping that this person already got, or this family already got prepared. One of the things we find, they're scrambling for documents. You know, you might have had a bankruptcy 6 years ago, 5 years ago. That's still in play. We need the paperwork. Doesn't mean you can't buy a house. It just means you need the paperwork. And if you can't locate your documents boy, that's the one thing, Matt, we're always struggling to get.
Who thinks about where they keep their documents that are real estate related in the off season, right? So just like Dan Campbell, you got to prepare yourself to be successful. They spend 7 days of a week to play football for three hours. So we need to be doing that. It's like ready, fire, aim. Like there's a process, and if you don't follow it the right way, you're going to do it the wrong way. The last couple of years, when you get an offer submitted, the first thing as any agent's going to do is call the lender, say, hey, I got your offer. Tell me about your buyer, all that. And every lender is going to say, oh, yeah, pulled their credit, did all this. They're perfect buyer. They're super ready to go. And still a few times it's going to fall apart. So it's because you have these fly-by-night people that are just going to say, oh, yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. We ran your credit. You say you make this much. You'll be more than fine. We'll just work this out on the back end. And then you as a listing agent are explaining to the sellers, hey, this is what happened, and nobody understands that. And then also as a buyer, you've spent all this time, you've gone through an appraisal, you've done the inspection just to find out like the day the moving company's coming, essentially, that you can't buy this house. So that's why having a pre-approval from a high-end company like a Capital Mortgage Funding, it tells me that it's not just going through the motions. There's actually been an underwrite. There's been verification. The boxes have been checked. The T's have been crossed. The I's have been dotted. So if you get 2 pre-approval letters or whatever they want to call them sometimes, you get 2 letters, one's from Capital Mortgage Funding and one's from somebody else, I'm going to take the Capital Mortgage one a million times over just because I know it's gone through the steps. Regardless if it's Lisa or Becky, you guys always do the right thing, both by your client, but also by the market and the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
So if I can go to my sellers and put my neck on the line and say, this offer is going to close. This one might look fancier because it has a cool logo or something on it, but we don't know this person from Adam.
Yeah, man, I want to emphasize a couple of things, okay? Lisa, Becky, Harvey, you, myself, we go about transactions, we believe, in a fulfilling manner so the borrower, client, customer is successful. So the question that we ask first, and we take a look at the transaction backwards. If you're buying a home, the first question is, where's the money coming from, right? So you're going to put down a down payment, whether it's a small down payment or a large down payment. The borrower needs money, correct? They'll come to us for the rest of the money. So we ask, where's the money coming from? So the first thing that we verify is what? Funds to close. Where's that money coming from? In a purchase transaction, you would be surprised how many times the stories that we hear, the lender never asks where the money's coming from. So they're scrambling at the end.
Okay, so you can ask someone where the money's coming from, and they're going to say, I have $10,000. And then you have to say, the next tee-up question is this in a cash box in your basement, in the ceiling tiles, or is this viable funds in your account? There's a difference between a pre-approval, a pre-qualification, and a very high-level pre-approval. We are doing high-level pre-approvals. And we got a call coming, but before we get to it, I want to talk about a bankruptcy situation. Bankruptcies happen. And a lot of the times where there's a hesitation for people to let us look at their credit, it's because something happened in the past and maybe they're embarrassed by it. We often say here, there's a Planet Fitness here in the studio with us. This is a judgment-free zone. Someone came to me that was pre-approved under contract closing in 2 weeks. They had a bankruptcy that discharged 2 years ago. Technically with FHA, once you're 2 years out, you can move on. Well, there was a foreclosure associated with this bankruptcy. Now, depending on how it is worded in the bankruptcy, you're either protected under the bankruptcy laws or it goes off the foreclosure date. They were denied somewhere else because the lender didn't do their due diligence to realize that they actually were protected under the bankruptcy laws. So you actually went off the bankruptcy date, even though a foreclosure happened after the bankruptcy, because they didn't take the time to call FHA and get it cleared up. So if you've been in a bankruptcy, that doesn't discredit you, and you had a foreclosure. So it all starts with the conversation. So if you've been in that situation, give us a call. Let's talk it out before you get in a situation where you're being artificially denied somewhere else.
All right. Although this time of year could be a little challenging, there's some great ways to get into a house. And why is it better for a seller or a buyer to buy a house? Now, when we come back,
now's the time.
There you go, Matt. 248-539-9797. We'll go to your calls. Thanks. Back live in the studio here. These headphones are always jazzed up. Hey, it's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. And we are powered by CMG Home Loans, equal housing lender, NMLS 1820. You can call us at Capital Mortgage Funding at 248-569-7283 or 1-800 low rate anytime and get some great information. We do have open lines here in the studio, 248-539-9797. Full house today. Matt, of course, joins us, Matt Bush from RE/MAX First. Always a lot going on. Matt, we talk about behind the scenes, a lot of buying and selling and stuff. We're going to go to our call out there. So hang on there, Rich. We're going to get to your call too. But we talked about it at the break. This is a great time to sell your house. A little bit less competition, Matt. You can get the warm fireplace going. You can make the cookies. It could smell good. It can look good. Very seasonal. And again, everybody's in a great mood here in Michigan.
We are bouncing from that kind of low seasonality of buyers. People got money for Christmas. They see their tax returns coming back in. Buyers are coming out. I just saw today that inflation's coming down a little bit. Last 6 months, inflation was 1.9%. Last 3 months, it's at 1.6%. So it's going the right way. So that means there could be rate cuts this spring. So if you're just going to wait for rate cuts to get a pre-approval, you're going to be behind the eight ball, just like we were talking about in the first segment. So like right now is the time, if if your parents were really gracious to you and helped you out, if you had something happen over the holiday season, if you're expecting a nice big check from the IRS, now is the time to get your documents to Lisa, to Becky. So when that money comes in, bam, you can put that down as a deposit. You can use that for your closing funds. Your accountant's going to be able to help you put a lot of those documents together because they're going to be needed anyways. So you're going to be able to be right on the path for, you could find a house now, lock in the rate when it's ready, and then bam, you're closing, and you'll be the first one to get those rate cuts.
All right, always buying and selling, of course, 248-539-9797. Let's go off to our first call here. Rich, you got a call maybe on a cash-out refinance. Tell us what you got going on.
Well, I was going to have some dental work done, and it's quite expensive. And they wanted $50,000.
Whoa.
And so they have their own financing that they put you to.
Right.
And then so I put $10,000 down, and they want $40,000 and so it all worked. I said, okay, we'll go ahead and do that. But it's coming back that the $40,000 is going to turn into $63,400. Over the life of the loan, it's $10,000. It's 9.9% annual, I think. And
Yucko.
And so it was. So I called Rocket Mortgage. I have my mortgage through them, and I asked them if they could help me, and he said that my best option would be a cash out.
Uh-oh, where'd he go?
Did we lose him? Oh, no. Where'd you go? I don't know where he went.
Well, it looks like the phone lines are down hard.
Okay, we can make that 248-539.
Oh, anyway, okay, so let's go. Let's
do
just
the cash out refi. Rich, it's a great call. We'll call you after the air, too.
So in a situation like this, yes, you can do a cash out refinance or you can do a home equity line of credit. Looks like Rich is calling back in. So we're going to get him back on the line so he can finish telling us what he's got going on. But yes, I'll wait till he gets on the line so we can kind of give him this advice live on air for him, because this is a lesson learned for everybody. Well, you do a cash out refinance, home equity lines of credit, or the sub financing. The interest rates are always going to be almost double what you can get on a normal transaction. That's where the issue is. There's a lot of individuals that take these personal loans, and then the interest rates are enormous, right? So I have someone that took a personal loan for $2,200, and their $2,200 that they took out, it's called a holiday loan. It's literally $200 a month, and they're going to pay it back in 2 years. And so when you see this on our side of the table, you have to really just peel back the curtain and let people see really how that's disingenuous, in my opinion. Can we get Rich back on?
Yeah, Rich, are you there? We'll bring him back up. Yeah, there you go. Hey, go ahead, Rich. Rich, no doubt. Hey, hopefully you got the equity, because we want to do this for you. And there's no doubt that a mortgage is going to be a lot lower interest rate for you. So
yeah, Rich, what's the current value of your home, and how much do you currently owe on it?
Zillows are about $100,000. I put $100,000 down on the. And that's what I told my mortgage company. Why it was worth $100,000. He agreed it was worth more than that because the comps around the area. But so I don't know what interest rate yet, because I just gave him my documents yesterday and he was going to figure them out. Probably call me back Monday on it. But I just wanted to find out if this is the right option for me to go by. He says the interest rate would be around 6 or something like that, and that the company that I go through for my mortgage would bring once the rates came down, he would automatically reduce my rates. Because that's the way they want to do it for people.
I'm glad you're not naive to all this stuff. We are going to help save the day. We are going to call you and save you.
Let me explain too. There's no automatic reduction of rate. God. It is still a refinance.
Could you imagine this? They just told them. You know what they really told them? They told them, hey, look, we're going to charge about 3 discount points because they lowballed the interest rate, and then we're going to refi you, and you're going to lose all your money. Yeah. You're going to not talk to any of those people, stripping. Rich. Game over. You called the right show this morning, and our staff is going to call you right after our show here and start really hooking you up. You need better people in your life, and we're going to start right here. I think it was a great call this morning. And Rich, feel better. Get those teeth done.
Yeah, so like
Harry knows a thing or two about that.
So just to kind of elaborate on this a little bit, because sometimes we don't focus on what, like this is a everyday consumer call. Like this is what people are doing. Yeah. They need money, they need finances, and they are making these random calls willy-nilly. And granted, if they're his current servicer, whatever, you have to start somewhere. But I'm so glad he called because we don't work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's why we're here in the studio. So we will call you after the show and get this figured out for you. But more importantly, like Lisa was starting to elaborate on, there is no automatic rate reduction. No. There is going to be another refinance that he is going to be having to do later on when the rates drop.
And that's not free.
Yes, it's not free. I mean, we have specific rate reduction programs here at Capital Mortgage Funding as well, but you have to do your due diligence, and taking out a personal loan or taking out subfinancing through one of the someone's creditors, right? So like this dental company, their creditor, the interest rate is obviously a lot higher than the mortgage. So in that situation, they're also the payback on that is going to be 5 years, maybe 7 years. So the payment's going to be astronomical on something like that. So in a situation like this for somebody, it does make sense in those situations to look at pulling the money out of the home. If you have the equity, you don't have a lot of liens on the property, because now you have the option to either extend it over 30 years, accelerate the payment, but you have to have your eyes open when you're having these discussions.
You have to make an educated decision and crunch the numbers. The reality is you have to crunch the numbers.
It's all in the math, right, Lisa? And here's the thing. If he put $100,000 down, all he's doing is accessing the money that he put down. So he's taking his money. Now, I don't care what math problem you do. If it's 9.9 on a finance loan for whatever it is, and you can get a loan at 7%, that's almost 3% less. So that's way better than that. And also, you're accessing your cash that you put down. Okay, so we have to do the math. Like you said, it's all a math problem.
It is.
And if it saves him money, which it will, and he gets to access his cash, it's a win-win. Now, we also have to ask him, there are other credit problems there, but we'll dive into that. It doesn't matter. We're going to unwrap that package and see what's going on.
But also, you're not going to wait till Monday, right? That's the thing.
No.
Like, how many times so like real estate isn't a Monday to Friday business. It is a 24/7. You're on with your clients. You're on with your people whenever they need you, because you never know when the baby cries and you realize the house is a little bit too small, so you need another room, right? So that conversation has to be had at all hours of the day. So if you ever talk to a banker and they say, we'll give you a call back on the next business day, or because it's 5 o'clock, so we're not going to get to you, that is not the bank that you're going to want to work with, because you're going to see a house on Friday or Saturday, and they're going to get you the documents on Monday or Tuesday. And by then, the person that actually had their banking together will have gotten that house, and then you'll be mad at your real estate agent.
On Thursday night, our closing manager, 2 of our other staff people, and myself were on the phone with a borrower at 12:30 at night.
Sure.
Okay? Because this is what we do. Because we take it personally. And when we have something to do, we've got to get it done. There are no hours in the day, and all days end in Y. So it really doesn't matter. But we have the luxury of doing that. Other people, other places, maybe they're not open. Maybe they don't have access to their systems. Maybe they just can't get it done. That's not our issue. Right. Because we are on the phone late. I got the text. I got the phone. Yeah. It doesn't matter. We have to get it done. It's a personalized business.
You cannot put the ball on the 1 yard line. You have to punch it through. Just like the Lions are going to punch it through tomorrow with the win. You have to be fully aware of what the situation is. And yes, it's time management. Okay. Is there a 911 situation? Do you have to get to something now versus later? Of course, but everyone's always getting calls back or a call back from us. But the reality is that, you can do a cash out refinance right now. It might make sense for you to do a home equity line of credit. I'm doing one in California right now for someone because they're using that equity in their home to purchase an investment property. We are overly aware of everyone's situation. And I often say we are professional, we are experienced professionals creating unique experiences for our buyers and our clients, whether it's a cash out refinance, a purchase, a first house, second house, investment property. But you have to be dialed into the right people, because then you get advice that's not so good. So there's that.
I mean, because back to that, like if you are looking to buy a house and the banker says, hey, we'll get back to you in the next couple days about whether that's qualified, is that somebody that cares about your circumstance and has the urgency that you do? If you're selling a house, would you want to know, hey, we have to get our documents together, or our documents are with the bank, we're waiting for, XYZ retail bank where I have my debit card, they're going to let us know by the end of the week if we can put all this together? No, that's not how they make their money. That's not where they're motivated to do. They just want to go ahead and give you those little loans. They want to charge you your bank fees. That's where their bread's buttered.
Hey, Matt, you got to unconfuse me here. Okay, we talked about it on the podcast. Okay, you read everything that they're, people aren't buying houses, but we know that's not true. But values are way up, demand is way up, yet the press is saying there isn't a lot of activity. Okay, unconfuse me here.
So every year there's seasonality with everything. Just like in football, the offseason starts at the end of February. I don't want to say there's an off season for real estate, but come Thanksgiving, come, Hanukkah, come Christmas, come the New Year's, people don't want people going in and out of their houses. So that brings down the inventory. And honestly, if you're going to have Christmas, if you're going to buy presents, you might want to save some money. You might not want to put that towards a house. You might want to buy your kids Christmas gifts. So you might take yourself out of the markets because you want to focus on what's going on in your life. So there's a good period of time between, I usually say Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day, because that's typically when the tax returns come back, that it's just a little bit slower. Those 3 months, people who need to buy are buying, those need to sell are selling. But that's the time for buyers to get a deal and sellers show that they're really motivated.
We're preaching there's a window of opportunity still, about another 45 days, maybe 2 months. Good little ringer there. 248-539-9797. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. When we come back, all your calls. We are back. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. 248-539-9797. That's right. We do the whole show from a little sports studio here at 97.1 The Ticket. A little vibe here in Detroit.
The tempered glass is new. That looks
yeah,
nice.
Isn't that awesome, man? We got all sports all the time. And then, except for the mortgage show here, of course, and I'll try to save you folks some money. Healthy's wealthy. And, if you got something going on, and we had a gentleman call and talking about pulling some money out, he had to have some procedure done. Of course, this was the dental thing. Whatever your situation is, again, get more experts, get more experience on the phone with you. A lot of times it's simple. We think we're doing the cash out refinance, and we look and we got some other debts here. And all of a sudden, the whole financial picture changes because he's got that experience. If you dial a fast food restaurant, you might not get the best dinner. You just might not. So try to work with a little bit better professionals. And I hope he gives us an opportunity to save him some money. That's for sure.
The reality is the menu's not the meal. You can go to a restaurant that is not the meal.
Wow.
It is about the experience.
Right.
Yes. And so who you're talking to and what the conversations that you're having with people, that's what matters. And you can have a 5-10 page menu and you're overwhelmed because you don't know what to get, and then the food finally comes out and it's horrendous, right? I'd rather have a great meal than an elaborate menu.
Yeah, but Becky,
I'd rather have 5 choices and them all be stupendous.
Yes.
Yeah, but-
than 100 choices and they all be crap.
Exactly, but you can't just go ahead and have somebody quote you the program du jour, right? It's not a one size fits all industry. Mortgages are personalized. Every mortgage is different. Every client is different. So you could have a menu of programs, and we know lenders that just try to fit people in one kind of program. Years ago, it was that variable, super fun, happy meal, ARM, pick your payment program, and that was the demise of the mortgage industry. You can't pick your payment. Okay, there's no payment that you can pick, because if people decide to make less of a payment on that option, where do you think the rest of that money goes? It goes on the back end of the loan. So there's no pick your payment. All right, that was the demise. That was terrible. And the mortgage industry learned a lot from that period of time. Don't make the same mistakes. Get the mortgage that's best for you, whether it's a 30-year, a 15-year, a 10-year. It doesn't matter. It's got to be right for you. And don't go with the herd. Don't follow. Don't be sheep. You got to go with what's best for you.
And that always starts with a conversation with a human. As great as AI can be, your circumstance is going to be specific to you. So like to Becky earlier, we talked on Wednesday, like everyone's going to have a different financial picture. So maybe your motivation, your pain point is one thing. It's going to be completely different than somebody else's. So going to a website, typing with a chat bot, that's just going to give you what the package is. That's not going to go into you and learn about you and figure out how to do something best for you and your family.
Well, that's like WebMD too.
Yeah.
It's like you Googling and be like, oh, my finger hurts. And it's like, oh, you have gingivitis per WebMD, right?
Don't go on the internet for medical problems.
You don't do those
Okay,
things.
trust
But
me.
I think conversation also opens up options. And I think when you go to these other places, you go in and you're like, oh, here is my one quote. Here's my estimate. This is my one rate for my 130-year, or maybe you ask for 15. I don't know about you guys, but I work out multiple options. This is what it would look like if you went conventional. This is what we look like with maybe a home ready product. This might look like if you went FHA, because somebody might need a larger debt to income. So your pre-approval value might go up. But this is what you're paying. You have to give people options and explain to them what it is so they can make an educated decision for themselves on what it's going to be. I mean, I would be upset if someone came and said, this is what you're getting, and told me what I had to have.
This is it. You have to do this.
This is what it is. You have a 30-year, this is your payment, blah, blah, blah. And the only
They're reading scripts. I mean, let's go there, guys. Look, you might be talking to people that aren't even using their head or their experience or their
most
knowledge.
of them don't know. And I think that
reading
we're supposed
scripts.
to be there to guide them and explain these things to them. I had someone call the other day. They're like, I'm buying a condo. I want a condo. I want a condo in Southfield. Well, there's only a couple condo complexes that are FHA approved in Southfield, and they had to go FHA. And I explained that to them, and I said, well, the one you're looking at is not FHA approved. We can apply for single unit approval.
Right, we do
But
that.
it is not guaranteed that it will be able to go FHA. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I don't understand.
No.
They had no idea. The lender didn't explain any of that to them.
The agent didn't explain any of that to
Well,
them.
neither.
Yeah.
But the lender they were working with before should have said your condo isn't FHA approved.
Well, the agent should be like, "Hey, I
agree.
I know you want to see this condo, but
Right.
your loan isn't going to conform to it. So,
Right.
I mean, I can go get your hopes up and show you the best unit, but unless you hit a scratch off tomorrow, this isn't going to be your future.
Yeah. So like what we're talking about even right now is high level pre-approvals that we are offering.
So you're not
because
wasting your time, your money, or your resources.
Yes, because there's different property types out there. There's manufactured homes, there's condos, there's single families, there's site condos, there's all these things. Then you think, I'm just buying a house.
Mm-hmm.
But on the lending side, it's multi-layered, and you have to be in alignment with people that can see that ahead of time. We have to see where we're going so we can get you there and draw that straight line, because you can go zigzags and all over the place, but then it's going to create a very unfortunate situation when you think you're guaranteed to get in this condo and then FHA says no because there's not enough checks and balances on the condo and there's too many hands in the cookie jar, and we can't monitor that your HOA is going to go from $300 to $800, and now you're going to be in a situation that you could have mass
It's done for their protection,
foreclosures.
right?
Correct. Yes.
Well, there's too many renters in that condo complex.
Yeah.
Do you
There's
really
so much
want to live in a renter condo complex? You
pending
want to be the one
litigation
guy that
from a
owns?
slip and fall on ice. There's so many reasons that things can get a little bit mucked up.
Hey, Matt, so for the first 26 days of the month, we're seeing a lot of activity.
Yeah.
I want to bring it back to home prices. People think we're in the middle of winter time. It's cold. It was crazy out last week. And people think that there's going to be this break and these prices are going to drop. Well, we're telling people, and Matt, we just need you to go ahead because you're on the street every day as we are. We don't believe the prices are going to go down. We think they're going to continuously go up. And we see that trending all through 2024.
I have 24 showings scheduled that I'm showing personally in the next 4 days.
Holy moly.
So how are prices going to go down when people are that busy? Supply and demand.
Yeah, there's just a demand reduction. There was December year over year stats. There were 7.5% less homes this December versus last December. The median sale price was up 7.5%. So they are almost directly correlated, maybe not to the decimal point, but when there's less of something available, the cost to buy that is. Remember when we were all freaking out about the cost of toilet paper and eggs?
Yep.
There was less toilet paper available, so people were spending, paychecks on toilet paper.
Yeah.
Last year it was eggs. Eggs, there's like 5 dozens of eggs in left.
Hey,
so
look.
guess what? There's $7.
Yes.
Matt, our fellow Detroiters have no problem spending a couple thousand on Lions tickets, though. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
That's true. I mean, but like what he's talking about is history repeats itself. That's what Harry was going with this is this time last year. So when you're in a room with experienced professionals, you can look back to also understand where you're going, but you also don't want to repeat history, right? You want to learn from it, not repeat it. And the reality is that this time last year, we're almost identical. There was this moment in the first 2 weeks of the year, you could really get in, you could take advantage of the situation. And then at the end of the month of this time last year, it was on and popping. What do I mean by that? That means it was accelerated offers. You had to come over asking, multiple offers, and there's multiple offers. So if you want to make an offer, that means there's 10 other people fighting for you. And if you want to go against me, you're not going to beat me because you have someone that's going to show up with an extra $20,000 on that house. They're going to win no matter what. So you have to be prepared. You have to know what your max options are, not because anyone's trying to make you overpay for the house, but it's because you have to know where the market is going. And we are going to see over asking, highly competitive situations. If the rates pull back even more, it's only going to introduce even more people into the buyer's pool that you are now competing against, because now those people that have been sitting on the sidelines to sell their house, that have been locked up with their golden equity of their 3% interest rates, they're going to maybe let that go for maybe a high 5 interest rate, low 6 interest rate. And now you're competing with people that have equity in the home as a first-time home buyer. So especially first-time home buyers, I feel like it's going to be a little bit tougher, but it doesn't mean you're out. You just have to be prepared because there's a million programs that we're going to get into. And when I say million, it means quite a few that we can help you win these offers, and people are going to pull your pre-approval ahead.
Last week Chuck Connolly came in with Clearview Homes. I just want to go back to that new construction. New construction is a great way to get into housing. A lot of great things about new construction we didn't even touch on last week. We're talking about the financing, but the actual house itself. All new construction homes come with a minimum of 12-month warranty. Most of the builders even jack that up to 18 months. More importantly, all the appliances in the house, they all have warranties. Everything's brand new. They're built to today's standards. So these are very energy efficient homes. Your heating, your electrical bills, things like that can be a lot lower. Matt, I've had some buyers over the years say to me, wow, Harvey, they were shocked when they got a heating bill. So sometimes these things are very important. Again, take a look at the attic, take a look at new construction, find out how this can fit your needs.
Make sure you don't skip the inspection just because you're getting it directly from the builder. You still need to have a private inspection.
That's a good point.
You still don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know if the insulation in the attic is sprayed to 14 inches like it is supposed to, or if it just got it was one of the after lunches, 4:00 specials to where they had to be out of there in 30
Friday
minutes.
at 4:30. See you later. Bye.
I bought a second generation house a couple years ago. There was a cigar in the trusses that had fallen out of the guy's mouth while he was doing the roof that landed on the wood in the insulation.
Was it a nice cigar at least?
I mean,
Don't
it was,
relight
it was
that.
a
Let that
cigar
one
that
go.
was lit, that
gross.
fell, that it just went out, but it would just been sitting in this attic for
To the
like 6
end of
years.
time.
Yeah. So you never know what
Cigars
you're going
that.
to find there.
All
So
right. How about this? Once you know the builder or the contractor, you can check out their reputation. You can find out things about the neighborhood. You can get professional real estate agents involved that can talk to you about what's going on in the neighborhood, the school district. A lot of times people just show up and they're like, they don't even know what school district this lies in. So there's a lot to know.
And there's still room to negotiate on those. There's a lot of things that aren't typically involved. You buy a house from a builder. Are you going to get grass? Are you going to get sod? Are you going to get sprinklers? Are you going to get a deck? Are you going to get a door wall? Are you going to get sidescape? What colors are these rooms going to be?
How many fern gullies do you have to plant?
If you're
Well,
if
especially
you're
if there's an association.
Pear trees usually, Becky.
if you're
Yeah.
close to the road, what kind of noise mediation are you going to do? Right? Can I
yeah.
get in? Like, I might not. I might, instead of like negotiating over saving 10 grand, I might want to negotiate a tree at the line so I have a little bit more privacy against my neighbors or against the road. So there are so many things that when you go to a builder, like instead of like buying from a builder, then hiring a handyman to paint your house blue if you want it, let's just get the contractor to paint it all, or the home builder to just paint the room blue, and then you move in and you're not doing any headaches. So
Not to mention too, like when you're building a house, you have to also know what the contract says. Are they going to be increasing the price of the home as you're going through it, or are they locking you in? The builders that we talked to last week, Clearview, right? Clearview Homes.
Yeah, right.
Clearview Homes. They
Lock it in.
They lock it in. They do whatever they can to make sure that they are not increasing the price as you go, because there's a lot of individuals that went under contract on new construction and they had to back out of these transactions because the price of the home got
Materials went up, and
Yeah,
there
went
was
so
a
much.
materials
Like-
price increase clause in that
Yeah.
contract as
Yeah.
opposed to being fixed.
Lumber.
You really
Correct.
got to read the contract.
All right,
Yes.
guys, we are up against our last break here. And of course, we got plenty to share with you. Come on back and join us. 248-539-9797. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. We are back in our last segment here. If you want to join the show, 248-539-9797. Always call us at Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. When experience counts, call Capital Mortgage Funding. Here, live in the studio, we'll take your calls. Becky Alley, Matt Bush, Remax First,
Yep.
Lisa Lawson, Harry Glanz. I'm Harvey Freed. Anyways, we got lots to share with you still. And again, we love these conversations. You can reach out to us anytime. You can sort of Google our names, go to our website at the office, call our cell phones. I love Saturday afternoon conversations about housing. I'll run to the office. If you need that approval letter, if you want to meet up, we'll do that too. Becky will do it. I'll see you there later, Beck.
Yes, absolutely. And I do, to that point is, yes, sometimes I do prefer a Saturday morning, afternoon conversation because, you don't have like that hustle and bustle of the emails coming through and the underwriters in these high stakes situations. You actually can a little unpack. And so I do a lot of pre-approvals on Saturdays as well, just because it's a little bit more clear-minded conversations. Everyone's is a little bit more calmer.
We can focus on the customer, not all the other things.
Yeah,
that
so
we
we're
deal
working
with.
all the time. Yes, that is for sure.
All right, go
And
ahead,
having
Matt.
a conversation, especially with as much that's going on, is so much better to have face-to-face or over the phone than via text, right? Because you can't,
yeah.
I mean, yes, you can text documents back and forth, but like when you're talking about such a financial picture, so many variables, that's let's have a direct conversation, not let's just text intermittently. So it's important to sit down with somebody, have a coffee, whatever it is, and ask the questions, have those questions answered for you.
Because sometimes there's a lot of questions and it's truly too much to text. Texting can come off as overwhelming where I can ask you 4 things in a conversation and you don't think twice about it.
Well, the truth is too, is you have to meet someone where they are.
Right.
And you have to meet them where they are so you can help them get to where they're going. And you have to hear what they're saying in between the words, right? Because sometimes we're going to answer questions that you don't even know you have because maybe you just didn't know. I just want to buy a house. Well, when I'm hearing you speak to me, well, now you're describing a condo. And then that turns into, well, what's the homeowner or what's the HOA? That's another $300 I have to qualify you for. And you just bought a brand new BMW for $900 and now that's affecting your financial picture. And that's where, there's a lot of separation there. People are not understanding that when they're buying these high-end leases because they're renting and that affects their financial picture in that moment, that's now affecting what they can afford when they're trying to buy a home. So you have to just make sure before you make any big financial purchases that if homeownership is in your vision for the next 6 to even 3 years, you have to be cognizant of what kind of car payment you're even having. It's very detailed that we get into with you.
So the method of communication equals the degree of difficulty of the transaction.
Those things.
So what do I mean by that? Okay, you can write that
record
down.
that.
I know. Go ahead, write it down, and somebody else will use it, and they'll take credit for it, but not me. All right. If the degree of difficulty in a transaction is going to be on a scale of 1 to 10, a 9, you better be having conversations with them on the phone, in person, instead of just texting and emailing. If it's an easy transaction and I only need 4 things, I'm emailing, texting, and then I will call them and say thank you.
I would even argue that a transaction is going to be level 9 hard because you only had level 1 conversation.
Correct. There you go.
Exactly right.
So either
Preach,
that,
brother.
the degree of communication equals the degree of difficulty on the transaction. So the method of that communication, we could text and we could email all day long. But here's the public service announcement number 1 for the day. If you have difficulty in a transaction, go see the person or pick up the phone and call them. If it's an easy transaction, you can email them.
Yes.
Okay.
And let me say this. Here's another public service announcement. You cannot borrow funds from an institution to use unless it's a home equity line of credit. It can't be unsecured funds to purchase a home. What do I mean by that? You cannot take out a personal loan at a random bank and say, these are now my funds for closing because
cash advance on credit cards.
You can't do that.
You can't borrow to borrow.
Yes. And the reason why I bring that up is because we see it every day, multiple times a day, at nauseum. And so we're trying to help anyone, whether it's you're working with Capital Mortgage Funding or not, do not do that to yourself. Talk to your loan officer, get educated on how you can document funds for your closing, because that's almost always 100% of the problem.
1,000%. You guys, I want to go there real quick. The renovations. A lot of families might be doing some renovations over this winter. Again, take on some smaller projects. Yep, we're waiting for them to come up. Take on some smaller projects first. See if you can complete the bathroom first before you just go ripping out the whole kitchen. And one of the reasons why, Beck, we might run into this, we feel like, and again, we are hoping that sometime in 2024, these mortgage rates drop. And if they do drop, we might have to have an appraiser go out to the house. We need a functioning kitchen. We we don't want your house to be all torn up. That could be a problem for you. Take on these things. Again, I wrote a whole bunch of things about renovations. Make sure you don't take on too much. And by the way, 70% of couples break up during renovation programs here because it's over budget. They're yelling about the color. I mean, it can get emotional. It's just like a mortgage. Matt, go ahead, and then I'll go to the call.
Brian Buffini says that paint is worth $20 in the can and $1,000 on the wall.
Nice. I like that. Hey, let's go to Nicholas out here. Hey, Nick, what's going on? Thank you for calling our show. Go ahead.
Hey there. Yeah, so I got a quick question for you guys because you guys brought up something and it's kind of just sparked it. I had a conversation with my mom. She owns a property up in Lexington, Michigan, and the next door neighbor, like next to her, is putting their place up for sale. So it's making them want to sell their property up there to grab like what they can now from it. I don't know why my mom is like, oh, well, we can get this value now, but I'm trying to tell her to keep that property within the family and just maybe, do like a land contract or rent it out or, just keep that in a portfolio for her. And the values have really skyrocketed.
Is she on the water? Is she on the water or across from the water?
She's on the water. Yeah, she's on the water. She bought it for $8,500 back in 2015, and she can get 40. She can get about 45 to 50 for it cash now tomorrow. But I told her,
and she's on the water. She's on Lake Huron.
Is it a manufactured home?
What is it?
Hold on.
Yeah. So it is a manufactured home, but the lot size is pretty. It's nice. It's like a double lot. And
where's she going to move to? Where's she moving to, Nick?
Well, she lives out over here in Macomb. But that's just like a little
second home.
Yeah. So that's like a little slice of heaven out there for them in the summer. Right?
Beautiful sunrise. Like my family, we go out there once a year to watch the sunrise, and so I hear what you're saying. It's worth more than just what you're going to get in your pocket. It's sentimental.
I would tell you this, knowing that area like I do, and had a family place up there. My wife's family had a place up there for a long time on Lake Huron in Lexington, right across from the water. I would tell you should keep that in the family as long as you can. You're talking about 45,000 versus 85. I mean, come on. Really? I mean, that's something that you guys can make memories. Talk to your mom about it. Maybe she'll see it. It's truly
it's a value jump. The value jump from what she was thinking. She's thinking she hit the lottery because
but it's really not a lot of money, Nick, right? So it's not really a lot of money.
I'm going to go because I got the Odyssey app, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to show her this on the show. I bring this show up to her all the time.
Thank you so much.
There's probably a lot of that.
Thank you.
He's my guy. When I come up down, Nick, you and I are having lunch this week. I like this guy.
Do you guys own the lot? Do you own the lot free and clear, or do you rent the lot?
And then clear everything.
Is the dwelling affixed to the property, or is it still movable?
It's still movable,
okay.
So you can put whatever you'd like in there. So, people just go up there and just say, "Hey, you know what? I got this amount in cash. Let's just do it."
Well, if they want to keep it in the family, why don't you sell it to her?
Yeah. So Nick, also, you're not going to because it's not affixed to the property. It's not going to be like you can't take out a loan and just buy it, right? I mean, you can, but it's going to be a non-traditional loan.
Well, that would be
non-traditional, correct?
So you need somebody to come out with cash in hand to buy that. It's not going to be an easy transaction. So I would honestly.
Here's the kicker. This is the kicker to it. She owns the property right next to this lot, and they have a unit up there already that they're using. This is just like a secondary unit right next door. And then the neighbor on the other side of it is the one that's selling and was talking to them like, oh, yeah, we just sold it for 60-something, 70-something thousand to some people cash, and it was great. And
you need a family meeting.
Yes.
You need a family meeting over a Sunday night dinner.
Yeah. So I'm going to say two things. Okay. So what I'm hearing is, it's that typical mindset of you're standing in line, so I'm going to stand in line. I don't know what you're standing in line for, but I'm standing right behind you. And just because the neighbor got $60,000, that's not worth giving up putting that someone, so now you're going to have a stranger living next to your mom that already is living there currently is what I'm hearing, right? Or like they own a thing. So now you're opening it up to somebody else, whereas right now you guys kind of have the monopoly of those 2 lots right there. So, I definitely would speak to your mom, kind of do like just next level, like future thinking and just say, hey mom, like I want to keep this in our family. And would you be considering maybe if you want to let go of it so badly, will you sell it to me? So that way that you're locking at least that piece of property in there. Not to mention if you...
no, absolutely. And I was just pointing out to them, if they rent it out in 5 years at like $1,250, that's $75,000.
Right.
And that's way more than
you definitely know what
you're right. You're right on the money. And if you needed us to affirm what you were already knowing, then yes, this is your confirmation.
We'll come over Sunday night for dinner. Have your mom there. We'll all be there.
Yeah, we'll watch the sunrise. It'll be good times.
Right next to the A&W up there.
Oh, yes. Right there. Like that's where we go. That park right there is where we watch the sunrise.
We'll put the headphones on. We'll come to dinner.
Sure.
Love the call. Love the area.
Thank you so much.
Go Lions.
All right.
Yeah, go Lions. You know what? Speaking of the Lions, it feels like it's Super Bowl Sunday to me tomorrow.
Almost,
and I know everyone in Detroit
man.
feels the same way. I feel like it is the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Dude, our hair is on fire here in Detroit right now. We're crazy.
Yes,
good.
So excited. I know it's going to be a great game, but I mean, man, the Lions. Might as well be the Super Bowl to me tomorrow.
And if it doesn't work out, we can still have a wonderful Monday. And
now don't put your negativity out there.
The fact they got here.
Oh, bro, don't say that.
Hey, a little bit more, guys. Tax season's coming up again. Sometimes families do something, and the guy sold the house. And I was just thinking to myself, there could be some capital gains. You never know what can go down. And all of a sudden, that person who sold and made a little bit of a profit, $30,000, finds out they owe some money on taxes on it. Other things can happen. Like Becky was saying, I love that idea. Now we got strangers renting it. A stranger lives next door to you. There's some, stick with it and keep it in the family. I love when we get the calls like that because we're starting to think through things. And I think you guys, if I could just say something, it's just taking everything all the way through. Just sort of feel it all the way through and get
slow
more
down. Bring the family together. Let's talk about it.
That's what we were talking about before. You have to have the conversation, let people say what they're going to say, and then you really hear what they're saying.
And then you can evaluate it.
Yeah. And real estate is about generational wealth. Keeping that in the family for another generation or two, that $8,500 seed could turn into $200,000-$300,000 in 30 to 40 years, right? So that seed that grandma planted in 2015 in, 2050 could be worth so much more money. That could put the kids through school. That
could become an income producing.
Yeah, that could help grandkids. That could help great grandkids. Just because grandma did it.
Yeah, and the memories. Listen, there's some things you cannot put a price on, and that is a memory and a place that you always can go to and have the most amazing summers, winters, whatever. Some things are not worth price.
Guys, this show, I feel like I'll go ahead and say it. Invest in your health, invest in your character, invest in your knowledge, invest in yourself. And I'll let you guys get last words because we got a game coming up tomorrow.
Appreciate that, man. I'll tell you what, this show is a great show. Love that last caller. But you know what? Lions, let's go Lions. That's all I can say. I've been waiting for this for a really long time.
Well, we
let's
hope
go
we're
Super Bowl
talking
bound.
some good next Saturday, we'll be talking. Pat Caputo, he's coming on with sports. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket, and have a great day.